Operationally, it's probably never been harder to run a physical products brand than right now. So in this video, I'm going to break down 5 supply chain hacks that will save you money, save you time, and make you a more elite operator. Let's go. What is up, guys? Welcome to Heist, the YouTube channel that is all things building and scaling physical products businesses. And you might have noticed that the background here is a little bit different than normal. In fact, if you can kind of barely see it up there, there's a number 22 Dallas Cowboys signed jersey from the best running back of all time, Emmitt Smith, which means that I'm in the great state of Texas.
Smith at left tackle, a block from right, gets into the 40, breaking right to the 45, to midfield. Smith to the 30, to the 20, touchdown, Emmitt Smith, 75.
Here for the holidays at the in-laws in Tyler, Texas. One of the really cool things about running a virtual physical products brand is you can kind of operate wherever you want to be. So I'm here in Texas celebrating the holidays. But we've been facing a lot of headwinds really since COVID kicked off on the operations front when we're building and scaling physical products brands. There's been tariff increases, there's been freight increases, there's been dramatic slowdowns, there's been shortages. Basically everything about actually manufacturing, transporting, storing, and delivering product to end consumers has become more difficult here over the last 18 months. So really the purpose of this video is to break down 5 supply chain hacks that I've personally used to make these pain points a little bit less expensive and a little bit less costly in terms of time. In my physical products career, I probably ordered in the neighborhood of about $200 or $300 million worth of stuff. So I've done a ton of orders, run a lot of containers, run a lot of production runs, and these are some of the things that really help dramatically improve supply chain and operations for the physical products brands I've been involved in. So let's kick it off with hack number 1, and that is to actually keep some safety stock in China for free at your manufacturer's facility. I'm not going to get into all of the demand planning theory and supply chain theory on how to order what when, but suffice it to say you should have at least 30 days worth of safety stock inventory at any given time to satisfy demand. In some cases, you actually might want up to 90 days worth of safety stock inventory. The problem is that in today's 3PL environment, it's becoming incredibly difficult to A, find the space, and B, to justify the cost of storing significant amounts of inventory. To make matters worse, if you're selling on platforms like the Amazon Marketplace, there's inventory limits on what these marketplaces actually let you store in their facilities. So a way to do this really inexpensively and effectively is to actually store that 30 to 90 days worth of inventory upstream at your actual factory. And the conversation goes something like this. Hey guys, we've been killed with dramatically increased shipping costs. We've got new tariffs. We've got warehousing cost increases here in the US. What I need you to do for me the next 6 to 12 months is I need you to store a PO or two's worth of goods in your actual facility, such that when we're ready to order it, it's really only that transportation lead time that we need to worry about, not the manufacturing lead time as well. And typically how we'll arrange this is that we basically place the normal deposit, which is usually about 30% when we place the PO, but we won't actually pay for that remaining percentage until the product's actually shipped. So you basically get free product stored and you don't have those operating costs and those fees to store the product. So you basically cut off the production lead time for most of your POs. So have that conversation. It can be a huge benefit in terms of reducing the working capital needed to satisfy demand in your business, and it's a much less expensive and a much more efficient lead time strategy to actually get your goods into the hands of customers. The second hack is to really deep dive into your long lead time parts with your factories. If I were in your shoes, I would reach out to every single one of the factories, especially for your A SKUs, and ask for a full BOM or a list of materials, a bill of materials for your product. Know every single part that goes into it and what are the corresponding weeks lead time for those raw materials and those raw parts. What that will let you do is it'll let you see your entire BOM and identify what the long poles in the tent are from a lead time standpoint. So let's say that your manufacturing is typically like 50 to 60 days, something like that. And you ask for the BOM and you see that most of the parts are available within 1 week and production's about a week and a half. So if you had that optimal kind of part inventory, it would be a couple weeks worth of production time. or maybe it's 3-4 weeks worth of production time versus 5-6. Take those parts that are the long poles in the tent that take longer than the other ones and work with your vendor and their sub-supplier ideally, which really should be their responsibility, to have floor stocking agreements. What floor stocking agreements are is that they house a certain percentage of parts on hand at all times to make sure that the lead time is short. So if you've got a really long lead time part that's say 2 months to get, have them stock that for 6 months worth of inventory such that your lead time is really just the standard part lead time for your product. This can dramatically improve your cycle time. It can dramatically improve your production time. And when we're in an environment right now where we've got congested ports and the supply chain is slower than normal, it helps you get in front of those lead times and it helps you avoid unforeseen circumstances. The third is to actually use Matson shipping lines or other ocean fast lanes. Historically, what you've wanted to do is to ideally pack full 40-foot high cube containers and ship them via ocean. It's typically been the most efficient, both time and cost, all in kind of calculation to move your freight. In today's environment where we're very much in a drip feed environment where we can't necessarily get all of our inventory in one fell swoop, and we've got some stuff that gets stuck at port, we've got some stuff that gets stuck at warehouses in the US, the drip feed approach, even though it's more expensive, is much less expensive than stocking out of your product and having your product sit for 2, 3, 4 weeks, both on the water and at port, because those things cost you money as well. So we've moved almost exclusively here over the last 3-4 months to using fast lane only. So this is not necessarily optimized containers, it's definitely more expensive. But what's cool about the Matson line is that it's usually about 10 to 14 days on the water versus say 3 weeks on the water. And because they have their own dedicated port in California, they don't have the same check-in issues that the main carriers have when importing goods through the California ports. There's also dedicated chassis, they get their containers in and out a lot faster, and it's just a much more efficient way to move goods. So if you can afford it and you've got the margins, which hopefully you do if you're selling a premium brand offering, which is definitely something that I preach, Matson fast lane shipping is a way to avoid stockouts, a way to avoid costly delays at port, and a way to avoid costly storage fees, which the transportation companies will pass along to you. The fourth hack is related to negotiating with your stateside 3PL warehouse. It's obviously a little bit difficult to negotiate in times like this because 3PLs have a surge of demand because there's a lot more goods that need to be stored in warehouses now. But if you've been working with a 3PL for a while, or if you're actually moving significant volume, I would recommend negotiating that first 4 weeks of storage with your 3PL. If you're drip feeding inventory and moving it pretty quickly in and out of their warehouse, I like to avoid any storage fees for that first 4 weeks. It doesn't hurt to ask. The worst that they can say is no, but you should let your intentions be known that you want to have free storage for the first 4 weeks. Tout the partnership, tout the volume that you brought in. If you've got an existing relationship that has been around for a while, tout that and see if you can leverage that goodwill, even temporarily, say for the next 6 months, to avoid the pain of that first 4 weeks of storage for product that you're moving in and out of your 3PL warehouse. And the fifth and final supply chain hack is to look at your cartons. Oftentimes people just take their factory's word for the most optimal way to size their cartons, but you might be leaving say like 10, 12 centimeters at the top of a container, where if you reduce say your carton size by 2, 3 centimeters, and as it's stacked on multiple rows, you might get an additional row into the container. It may be cheaper to store because you can fit more units and more cartons onto a pallet in your warehouse. It may be cheaper to ship via UPS and or through an LTL trucking service where you can fit more on the truck. We're in a time now where every centimeter matters and size absolutely matters. So take a look at your carton sizes, take a look at the way that you structure your pallets, and understand the most optimal and efficient space way to actually move stuff into containers, into storage and pallets, and into trucks when they go to end consumers. Which brings me to an ask. If you're here for the first time and want to know more about some of these strategies, hit subscribe. A good buddy of mine, Jamie Peros of the Endgame Network, one of the best dudes in the physical product / Amazon space, has created an amazing new tool around size optimization. I'm gonna get an early demo soon, so I'll drop a video on that more on that last point around size optimization. But whether it's safety stock in China, looking at your long lead time parts, using fast boat shipping, working with your 3PL to get 4 weeks free storage, and or optimizing your carton sizes, these are all hacks and strategies you can implement this week in your business to make it operate better, to make it more effective, and to put more money in your pocket so you can grow and scale. Stay tuned in the coming weeks. I'm going to be in the great state of Texas for a few more. We're going to be dropping more gems. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Hope everybody is ramped up and ready for a wonderful Q4 and beyond. Thanks for stopping by. Cheers.